Hello everyone, this is Yu Tsai. Welcome to Let's Talk. Thank you for joining me here again. This week we've been dedicating an entire week talking to people that are in the food industry, from authors to editors, as well as television hosts for traveling and food. And today's no exception. Today my guest is super special. She's first of many. She's the winner of season 17 Bravo Top Chef winner, All-Star. Really important to know that, because that is not an easy thing to come by. My guest today is Melissa King. Thank you for joining me today.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, you're the winner this year. This is it. You're the winner.
It's been crazy, I know. It's been an exciting journey. There was a lot of tears on that last episode, but I'm excited for the future, and I'm just really proud of myself for what I've accomplished so far.
Well, let's share a little bit of your journey with people that's watching. For those you guys who have not yet watched Top Chef, you should. It's the best binge watching show that you can have, and you can get it on Bravo on demand, or you can, if you have DirecTV or whatever network you have, I'm sure you can find a way.
You can figure it out.
You can figure it out. But it's one of the shows that I've been following since season 1, and I had the opportunity to talk to Pamela as well on the show and the other Top Chef winners as well as contestants on the show, because I just find it so fascinating to see that what an incredible show that sets a rhythm to celebrate food and the people behind the food and then make them into mega stars. And that's the only show that does that, because American Idol, all these other shows have been out there and they do a great job, and very few actually come out becoming stars, including the show I'm involved with, Top Model Show as well. Not many of them actually become this mega phenomenon. And we know Top Chef show has done that for so many chefs out there. And your first season was actually in Boston. Let's go through that journey a little bit. What got you to Boston the first time?
I remember applying for the show, and it was just, friends and people kind of pushing me to do it. And I'm painfully shy and was growing up. And I know that I did it just wanting to try something new and to say yes to something and kind of lean into that fear that I was feeling and those butterflies. And so I got chosen. Next thing you know, I was packing my knives and flying to Boston. And I remember just taking it a day at a time and thinking, you know what, I'm just going to try my best, see where it takes me. And I made it to the finals and was a finalist. So it was great. It was a great experience, but it really opened me up a lot and blossomed me into the person I am today.
And before Boston, before Top Chef, and I know there's many lives before that, because we don't want to just define that as only a Top Chef life. What was it before that? Were you working in a restaurant? Were you owning a restaurant? Give us a little bit of journey.
Sure. Let's see here. If we're going way back, I went to college. I studied cognitive science, and I ended up doing nothing with that and kind of moved forward and became a chef. Went to culinary school, but that was something I always wanted to do since I was a kid. I was maybe 5 or 6 years old and just dabbling in the kitchen, helping out my mom. And then after culinary school, I moved to San Francisco and built my career there, trained in 3 different Michelin star kitchens and kind of spearheaded those. Then I did some butchery for about 2 years, was a butcher for a restaurant and a hotel group. And then I did private chefing and did some private chefing around San Francisco for tech people. and then I joined the Top Chef world.
Wow. Well, as a good Asian, and I say that as an Asian American, many of us study what our parents want us to study, and many of us depart into something completely different. Like you, I studied in the science as well. I was a pre-med biology major, graduated, and then, of course, doing something completely different.
Yep.
I think that you're right. At the end of the day, when you're young, you find your passion. But were your family members supportive, or mom and dad supportive of your new journey away from the cognitive science?
Yeah, it took some time. Took some time to convince them. I think, as you mentioned, Asian families, they're quite traditional. They want to make sure I know with my family, they came here from Hong Kong and didn't really have much, and they worked in restaurants. Those were sort of that was my parents' first jobs, were like wrapping wontons at a Chinese restaurant here when they were 17 and didn't know English. And my father was a busboy. And I think for him, now they're now retired engineers, but I think going through that journey, and then for me to say, hey, I want to be a chef and I want to work in the creative restaurant industry, they were like, no way, what are you doing with your life? You need to be a doctor, you need to be a lawyer or something that didn't rely on such a physically demanding career. So they were looking out as parents, and it really came from a place of love. But I think, wanting to transition into creative, and I'm sure you know and experience that yourself, it does take a little bit of convincing and pushing. But you just gotta prove it to them,
I think we share the same parents, and it came on the
We
same,
probably do.
same path. And then that story gets told a lot, and it's a story about immigrants, right? The first generation. I'm a first generation immigrant. I was born in Taiwan, and when my family moved over here from Taiwan, they too worked in a restaurant too, and that wasn't what they were trained. My dad was a photographer before, and
Oh, really?
yeah, so the language barrier really hindered him in order to do that business. So, he worked in a Chinese restaurant, and as a good Asian family member, if you can walk and you can reach the dishwasher or the sink, you're going to be in the kitchen with them.
Exactly.
So I grew up in the kitchen with my dad that way. That's why I learned how to cook. I never claimed myself to be a chef, but I can definitely
I've seen your Instagram. You got some good stuff on there.
I can bust a good I can break down a good broccoli and beef. I can break down a good chicken. I can stuff fortune cookies for the white people. That I learned really quickly. I'll tell you a funny story. When my dad used to make us stuff those fortune cookies and just making sure all the fortunes there, because they fold them and some of them fall out.
Yeah.
And once I started learning English, and this is back in Terre Haute, Indiana, I would write my own fortune and stick it back in there for the people, tip more. Eat more beef, good for you.
Love it.
Just speak English very well. But just in any way possible to get more tip and get them to eat more. But that seemed to be a common denominator that we all share, that all parents as Asian Americans really do want us not go through what they've gone through. Exactly. And for those people out there, just so you know, deciding to be a chef, to work in a restaurant, it is not as glamorous as you see on TV. Nope. It is hard work. Your hours are early in the morning to the market, and you're the last person to go to bed. And I learned that by watching. And I swear to you, I told my dad, I told my mom, I would never, ever want to be in the food industry, ever. And look what happened.
It's hard work and dedication, but yeah, I think it often gets glamorized, with television and the things you see out there. But it is very much a labor of love, and if you love it enough, you stick to it, and then you make your dreams come true.
And your dream definitely have come true. You are on the episode that has the biggest prize Bravo has ever given out on Top Chef. A $250,000 win. That must have been such a motivation to work really hard on that show.
It was one of them, yeah.
I'm just being Asian about it. Yes. I'm just being super Asian right now. I mean, if there's a dollar sign at the end of that tunnel, I'm going to run faster than anybody else. Hard work.
Exactly.
But, when you're on that show, and what I found out over the last 6 weeks, interviewing lots of different contestants and on the show, and also just people and chefs in the industry, it's incredible for me to learn the camaraderie among everyone on that show. And it's so different than from other shows that I have been personally involved with, that the competition can get brutal. But yet you guys have this incredible love and support of each other outside that show. So when you go on that show, what does it feel like to compete with your friends and people that you will work together again and again?
Yeah, I knew some of the people going into the All-Star season, but I think it's the nature of being in a restaurant or in a kitchen. You do bond together because you spend hours together, and so you become family, and that's actually what happens on the show, because we live together too, and we cook. So 24/7, we're stuck together whether you want it or not. But kitchen thrives on teamwork and camaraderie, and so you see a lot of elements of that play throughout the season. And I'm so glad that they showed that side to us, because we really just wanted to support each other and let people excel based off of their strengths. And, you know, at least for me, I was not going to sabotage anyone, because I didn't want to win that way. You know, I'm like, I want to play fair here. Like, I want everyone to perform at their best. And so I'll do what I can to help them get there. But yeah, it's just by nature of kitchens, I think, is where you really feel that connection.
And we saw that on that show when you had the opportunity to pick teams or assign project to. Unlike 10 years ago, we would sabotage everyone and just give people the hardest thing to do to win. You came from such a warm place and such a loving place, and that's really something important to mention here, because that's what has happened in the food industry as well as fashion industry, in many industries, that kindness is now the new trend to be in. Because in the kitchen world, as you and I both know, that is not always a kindness for a long, long time. It's competitive, and it's also a male-dominated field.
Exactly.
As a woman stepping into that, did you ever find yourself just fighting harder and harder to be there?
Many times. You know, I started cooking around the early 2000s, or getting in kitchens, and it was a different world back then. It was very cutthroat, you know, people cussing at you, throwing pots and pans at you. It was a very high testosterone, you know, masculine environment. And I did often feel out of place, being one of probably the only woman in a lot of the kitchens that I had worked in. So yeah, I really did feel I had to stick up for myself, you know, use my voice and you know, use it for something, to be loud, even in moments where I felt maybe it wasn't 100% necessary, but I did need to speak up a lot in order to like prove that I should be there.
Did you feel that being Asian American also had to be one of the hurdles that you had to overcome?
You know, I think that was more so in maybe the style of my cooking. I noticed a big shift. Growing up, you know, I remember thinking I need to acclimate more into society and kind of be more American and show less of my Chinese side. And I remember going to school having like weird, you know, things in my lunchbox, like kanji and ramen and rice, and being made fun of for that. So I think that kind of you know, shifted my perspective of how I wanted to be as a chef throughout my early 20s. And I kept thinking I need to cook more French, and I need to cook more Italian, because that was what was being praised at that time of the culinary world. But then, you know, Top Chef happened, and around that time was where I really started to discover and embrace myself as an Asian American. And like, for sure, for the Top Chef All-Star season, I just really wanted to be very unapologetic about the food I was creating. I wanted to create food that felt like me and told my story and really celebrated that Asian side of my identity. And so I think, I don't know if I answered your question, but it really, you know, it came through my food and through my cooking.
And no, you answered it beautifully, because, you know, we all kind of share that common bond for people who come from Asia, that when your mom sent you to school, when you're in school, that you have to pack your lunch. You're not going to go and buy, you know, French fries and hamburger like all the other kids, because financially that we're just not able to do that. And yes, I had those, you know, 10 boxes of those 3 layers. Can I tell you? Little compartments. I would eat by myself and hide behind a tree. But but the smell.
We would have been friends. I would have been friends with you in elementary school.
I'm no joke. My entire junior year in high school, I ate by myself at the edge of the schoolyard because I was hiding my food from everyone. One, I just really love my Asian food. I didn't care. It was, you know, fermented tofu to kimchi to all the Asian different style. And also financially, that just wasn't something that my mom and dad was going to be able to give us, you know, $5 or whatever it costs for a meal, and that just doesn't in our culture. It's like, you have food at home, why would you buy at school?
Yeah, exactly.
So I did eat by myself for a while, but the lovely thing to see now is that now that's called food prepping, guys. That's what everybody's trying to learn on Instagram right now. Those layers and layers of tin that everybody makes fun of right now. They used to be like $1. Now like $20.
Now, exactly. Now everybody wants our lunch from when we were kids. Like, we had the best lunch there. We didn't know it at the time.
Stainless steel, guys. Now you guys know that Tupperware is right. The plastic bag is not good for the environment. We were way ahead of our time.
Yeah.
I remember one time that my mom would boil the chicken and with just a drum, with a drum on it, and just dip it in salt, and that's what you get for lunch. I remember taking it out one day, eating, and some kids walked by and literally screamed, "I'm eating like a raw chicken leg." So it's so. The education part of the food that was just not there for our school, right? And I'm so happy to see that in the last 20 years or so that we have started to educate people about fusion, about what is it like to have different culture and different food. And even in colleges now that they have like Indian food areas and Chinese food, pop-ups everywhere. And then that's something I wish we had when we're at that age, because that would have kept a lot of, would have kept the bullies full so they wouldn't be bullying us.
But I do feel I feel very grateful that we've moved into the direction that we are today, and that I hope it continues to just become more diverse and more flavorful, and bringing in all these rich cultures, because there's so much amazing food out there that is untouched and undiscovered by other communities. And so for me, it's like, how can we bring that all together and bring some really delicious food to the table? Because why not,
Well, you should did that.
I'm proud of the direction we're moving.
Well, not just, and then you took opportunity on the show to amplify that voice and telling stories how to merge between Italian food and Chinese food together. Those are so brilliant dishes, and for those of you guys who's joining me, that make sure watch Top Chef. Season 17 winner. All stars. Because when I saw those dishes come out, I was like, wow, you're not, to me, you guys are not chefs any longer. You guys are true artists. You are painting with ingredients and taking the best of the best ingredients and celebrate them. And honestly, it's just ballsy to feed someone pasta in Italy and then
it's terrifying when you're there.
Where did you get those strength and the energy and the gumption to be able to have that ballsiness to do that?
I think, again, it just kind of came from, it kind of all started from my first experience of Top Chef back in Boston, where I didn't really find my voice in food. I wasn't as confident as a person, as a chef, but I found that throughout that journey and carried it on, the next 5 or 6 years to the Top Chef All-Star season. And so I really just went in feeling like, you know what, I'm gonna do me, and I'm gonna cook what I love, and I'm gonna be very unapologetic about this and just do it. And you either like it or you don't, and you can kick me off for it. So I started doing things that I felt just really confident in. Like, I remember the second to last episode, we had to cook with prosciutto. And everyone in Italy kept saying, "You're not supposed to cook the prosciutto, don't cook the prosciutto." And I was like, you know what? I'm going to cook the prosciutto because it's going to be awesome and it's going to taste great. So I made a prosciutto XO sauce, which is a very traditional Hong Kong style condiment. And it has prosciutto cooked in, or it has cured ham cooked into it. And I just kind of, used the technique of Chinese cooking, but used the flavors and ingredients of Italy to build that dish. But I think you just kind of have to believe in yourself and stick to your gut and just go with it, and see where it takes you. So I kind of went in with that attitude.
Well, you have done first of many in the industry. First of openly LGBTQ community and winning Top Chef. I want to dive into that a little bit just because I'm part of that community with you. And at the same time, we just celebrated that last month.
Yeah.
And I think we should celebrate every month, guys out there. Why would we have 1 month? We should celebrate every month. But
favorite time of year, all year.
All year long. And I think it's so special because being Asian American, there's already a lot of stigma about our culture, a judgment. And I myself have learned that as well. Being in fashion world, where it's very accepted because that's the creative people. We're creative, so we can be whatever. But when I started doing shows and started creating content for food, there was my show's in Asia. I don't have a show here about food. It's actually in Taiwan and Singapore and Asia. And I was a little fearful and scared that if I was living as loud as I like to be, would that hinder the ability for me to have a presence on television. And I constantly struggle with that. I don't hide my sexuality in any way whatsoever, but I don't live loudly. I'm not a loud gay person to begin with. I'm just loud. I just don't wear rainbow flag as a bandana. But the reason I say that because by watching you and seeing what you have done and living who you are unapologetically and you're like this quiet soldier paving so many waves for so many of us, and I need to thank you for that. It's incredible because one, that we're fighting inclusion all the time in the television world, and to get Asian American to be more recognized on television. That I have stories and stories how difficult it is going to auditions over and over. And so I thank Padma for this as well, being an Indian Asian American, and have her being a host on that show broke the glass ceiling, number one, and then embracing LGBT community and celebrate them as not calling them out, but a normal part of our society, and there's not even a word you need to include us. We're just part of this world, and that's what I think is the most important thing about celebrating LGBT community, right? It is this is who I am, and guess what? This is the food I put on the table.
Exactly. I mean, it's really, for me, like, pride it's more than just being proud. It's about living your truth and being okay with being you and having that strength to be yourself. And so I think I feel very fortunate to be in a position where I'm a chef with the platform, but I'm going to use that platform and I'm going to speak and I'm going to be loud about it in ways, not super loud, but loud for an Asian.
All of us protest in a different way. I do it behind the screen. I'm not very good out there protesting. I'm not the type that person that can go out on the street and protest. I tried it. It just, and it's interesting to find out during this time that where your strengths are and magnify your strengths where you're best at. I'm good at talking. I'm good at this let's talk thing. So try to create a platform, allow people to come on the show and allow me to say thank you at the same time as celebrating the work that they're doing. And one thing that I have learned dear to my heart that really touched me the most is finding out that the food community are the number one community that shows up at any time when there's a crisis. During this time, I learned and I cry with many chefs at how they have put their personal needs aside and feed the community around them. And when I found out that's what this community does, it makes me want to be part of it even more. And that's why you see me here. And every week I said I will have a chef on this show every week, just because I want to hear about what they're doing and how are they able to contribute back to the community and how do we help this industry during this difficult time.
There was a cruise ship that got stuck in Oakland, and I remember I just immediately dropped my stuff, dropped all my work, and volunteered for, it was World Central Kitchen with Jose Andres, and I knew that I had to help in feeding people and do what I can to get food onto that boat, because there was several hundred people trapped on that boat and they just didn't have access to things. But I think moving forward from that, I've just been trying to find ways to continue to support through the work that I do. I've been hosting a lot of virtual cooking classes and tying those to charities that I believe in. I won fan favorite this year, and that was also something really important to me to feel that I need to give back. And so 100% of that $10,000 prize money will be going to support Black Visions Collective, Asian Americans for Equality, Asian Youth Center in Los Angeles, and the Trevor Project, which touch upon all things that just hit home for me. And then I also have a merch line, an apparel line. So I have hats and t-shirts, and I made these pride hats with little rainbows on the side, and $5 of every hat goes to the Trevor Project, which is an national organization that supports suicide prevention, that offers suicide prevention and crisis support for LGBTQ youths. So I just found it so important that, whatever I do, I'm going to try to be a better human. I'm going to try to give back where I can, and I always try to encourage others out there to do so as well.
And that's what its food community has always been like. And for us to be able to talk about it and amplify it, and I think that's what's so important, that we don't, we don't realize it when we're going through this time with our own little capsule. We get into this box and we forget feeding people is the number one priority, and the people doing the feeding are the chef and the community, and even watching you. And I want to talk about this that I didn't mention earlier is that you did it you won this season in the way that's the most gracious way I've seen on the entire 17th season. There was no sabotaging. There was no throwing anybody under the bus. And my favorite episode is always Restaurant War, because you think that's the time that you really get to see people's color. And you went through that with just incredible grace.
Thank you.
I want you to share that experience because a lot of people always ask, I get DMs, find out if the Restaurant War really is done in 48 hours or 24 hours, whatever the time limit is.
It is, yes.
So let's go through that experience of what that anxiety is like, and how did you stay so poised through the entire challenge?
Restaurant Wars is the most highly anticipated challenge of every viewer out there, but also for the chefs. We love Restaurant Wars. As much as we hate it, we love it because it pushes us. It challenges us to create outside the box and bring a vision to life from the ground up. And we do it together as a team. And so, I don't know. I know it was probably the most stressful 3 days of my life. It takes about 3 days or so to put it all together. But it was just so much fun. And I don't know, I think by nature, my personality is to just kind of roll with the punches. I don't like to sit and complain about things. I try to stay positive where I can, and I try to support the people that I'm with. So I know that Kevin, had his vision to really create, this very intense menu, very, intense concept. And I tried my best to support that in the ways that I could, and along with the rest of the team. So I think a lot of it was just communicating, which we all communicated very well together. And we're all friends, in and outside of competition. But unfortunately, we had a lot of dishes on that episode.
14? It was
14. And I remember trying to I voiced, pretty firmly that this was too much. We need to do less. But I kind of got beat out by by the leader of the group because it's his vision, it's his concept, and he felt it was very important to maintain that many dishes to portray the vision of his restaurant. So we tried to make it happen the best that we could.
Well, in this entire season, could you define one dish that really defines you? One single dish that really speaks who you are?
There's so many, but I would say the ones I felt most proud of were the finale, the last four. Those 4 dishes that I created in the finale were really, recipes and dishes that told my story and really spoke to who I am as a Chinese American, as a Michelin trained chef, as a Californian chef, because I remember I let the market guide that menu and direct where each dish should go. So, I had that octopus with the tassu glaze, kind of hybrided that Italian and Cantonese concept together. And then I made the handmade pastas, which really showcased the time I used to work at an Italian restaurant and did all the pasta making there. But I kind of put an Asian twist to that with yuzu, bonito, shiso. And then I had this squab dish that had persimmon and porcinis and chestnuts and all these really incredible flavors that highlighted Italy. But so that was sort of the Californian side to me because I'm Californian born and raised. And then the Hong Kong milk tea was kind of the one big one that I would say really spoke to my roots and where I come from. And it's really truly a beverage that my family drinks every morning. My mom makes Hong Kong milk tea every morning. And I felt, how can I bridge together Italian and Cantonese and really do it right? And so, it made a butcher cry.
It did. It was very, what I
It made
love.
me cry. I cried really hard when I heard about that and when I saw it on television.
Well, I love that. I love that single dish of the milk tea because in the Asian culture, Taiwan, we have boba, right? We started the whole
Exactly.
the bubble tea for those people who don't know what boba is, the tapioca tea, and it's finally now making it to United States. It's finally now embraced by the Western culture. However, when you made that, it made such a statement about how important of something that is so mundane and such a stable in the Asian culture. In fact, you can get it just around every street corner, can be elevated into a Michelin chef's hand and carry it through the continent of Italy, who are these award-winning chefs, and make them cry. I mean, it was incredible because, I do this show in Asia that celebrates street food, right? And it's going to be very hard to have another season in these kind of pandemic with street food. So I'm trying to pivot right now, but my constant struggle too, as on social media, I post the food that I make, and it's trying to find that twist, right? How do I elevate something? How do I make the twist? And I remember there was a dish in episode 3 in Street to Kitchen, and you'll appreciate this. We have this food, I believe it's in Hong Kong a lot too, called popcorn chicken, right? It's a street food, super spicy, amazing, with 5 spices, and it took me 2 days to convince the production people to let me do this. It's like, they keep saying, nobody's gonna eat this. I wanted to do, and I got to do, popcorn chicken with waffle.
Yes.
Popcorn chicken served in a waffle cone, topped with fried basil, sweet basils, and then with the ice cream on top and dusted with matcha.
Love it. Did you do the bubble waffle? You should do that Hong Kong style waffle, or I think in Taiwan they have that too.
They have the waffle, but I did the hard shell waffle because when the ice cream started melting, you still need the crunch. So the crunch came from the waffle. But I remember just because I have an incredible team, and they were just like, who's gonna eat this? And I go, listen, just let me do this. Okay, so I had to convince them of a prep day. I had to make it first, so they'll taste it, and they're like, can I tell you, before I even finished the second, it was all gone. And they're like, can you just keep making this for the next 10 days on production and eat it? Because who doesn't want popcorn chicken that's super spicy, balanced out with ice cream and matcha? Come on. But that's the love that I love about Top Chef, that helps me to educate me not to be afraid to try something so different. And the XO sauce, that blew my mind. So I hope one day. I was
proud of that one too.
Oh my God. I hope one day I get the opportunity to taste and see your artwork in person, because it is an art form. And the education process that we all can get through art is something that we can accept faster than just reading books, and be able to taste the art we can really consume and educate ourselves. And I think that's what you're doing. And through Top Chef, embracing the community of chefs for all different colors and celebrate all of them and all shades of rainbow, I could not be more proud of the show. And thank you so much for just being who you are and celebrating who you are, and allow us to celebrate with you.
Thank you so much. No, I can talk to you all day here. This is so much fun. So thank you.
Well, we can do another session. It's not a problem. No,
I know, we're going to do it.
What's next? Well, next time you're going to cook and I'm going to learn.
I'm going to cook next time. We'll do that.
So what's next?
It's inspired me to create a small sauce batch line, or a small batch sauce line. So I have 4 different SKUs, and they're sold on my website, chefmelissaking.com. We're currently sold out at the moment, but we're ramping up another batch. And I'm trying to really bring that more to, bring it on a larger scale, and expand that. I'd also like to do more television work, but I think I'm retiring from competitive cooking. Just putting it out there.
Well, you're absolutely gorgeous, and camera loves you. And you know what?
I myself on that one.
I'm going to pivot and do a Street to Kitchen Asia here in the States to do interviews and podcasts with Asian Americans. So I would love for you to join me.
I'm there.
That would be so much fun together. And I love that you talk about the sauce, because I also have a small patch sauce that is. We were supposed to launch 2 months ago when this whole thing happened. It was part of the Street to Kitchen. So we're going to have to do sauce crossover. We're
going to do a sauce off.
Yeah, we're going to do a sauce off. I'm going to have to send you a couple bottles and see what you think. I'm so scared for people to taste it, that it's on your level.
No, I'm sure it's fantastic. I'm gonna make popcorn chicken and pour it all over.
Oh my God, that sounds delicious. The sauce was so inspired by the people that I get to work with, all the celebrities that I get to shoot with, and I would just make this sauce, and I won't tell them it's mine. I just bring it on set, and they'll put it on their stuff. Like, what is this? So slowly, I'm like getting the confidence of saying, okay, I better make this. But yeah, small batching it. We're
Gotta
working on
start
that.
somewhere, yeah.
But can I tell you, I learned something really incredible through that small batching process that we wanted to take it to consumer market, and this is something that I have learned is so much sauces out there that's not small batch is full of chemicals. So much of the sauce is 85 to 95% water. And because we went through a food scientist process. We can, you know what, we can have a whole podcast just about food science.
We're on the same page, yeah. We've been studying the same things.
You're probably using the same lab.
Levels and
What happened was that we went through all the food science lab, and when we went through that entire process for 3 months is when I realized that's not what I want to do. You know, I cannot put essence of garlic in my sauce just so that the garlic smells there, but it's naturally not that. So I understand the small batch mentality. I totally get it. I get it.
Natural.
We could have an offline total discussion about the sciences in the labs because I got all deep into it. So that's exciting. Wow, sauces, we need them right now. Right now.
Trying to make it happen.
Well, the small batch better come soon. It's already sold out, so you better get working.
I'm trying, yes, chef.
This is your challenge. This is your quick fire challenge now. Make more sauces. But thank you so much, Melissa, for your time. And honestly, at any time that you wish to take over my platform, talk about your food, do it. And that's what this is all about.
Phone.
Well, people ask, like, you know, what's the reason I'm here? And I can only say that what's the use of all these fan bases if you don't utilize it for education or for spread the word of kindness and also help each other smile and laugh through this process and celebrate. And I do see you a lot on Zooms and so forth. And please continue to do that, because by doing that, you're putting an Asian American faces out there. And I've been champion for inclusion and diversity in every way in the work that I do. And only way we can change perception is to put our own faces out there. So I'm so proud of you for being the shy Asian that is stepping out of your comfort zone and do what you do. And you're absolutely gorgeous. I mean, come on.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. So you're in San Francisco now, yes?
I am, yep. I've been here for about 11 years.
Well, I saw on Instagram you have a little airplane between San Francisco and Los Angeles. So I'm expecting that LA part of it happens soon when it's safe. I would love to see.
You're in LA?
I'm in Los Angeles
right now. Why did I think you were in New York? Okay. Oh yeah, we're gonna hang out for sure.
And then I want to also give a shout out to Shirley Chen, who I was on the phone with this morning, and she's such a champion of yours as well. And she was talking.
Shirley.
She's actually helping me through a lot of the guests as well, because she's one of those Asian who love Asian and support Asian. That is another long conversation we should have about how the community can stay together and help each other. It's such a weird time, and the best thing we can do is keep talking and keep supporting each other, and also keep eating. And my philosophy is always out there for people who doesn't understand inclusion. Every time you take a bite of the food, look at where the origin of that food's from. You are already celebrating inclusion when you bite into that food, because there is no such thing as American food. It is all fusion. If you don't like us, don't eat my food.
Food brings everyone together too.
That's right. That's right. Well, I can't wait to taste your sauce, and I can't wait to speak to you again. And thank you so much once again. And congratulations, the winner of All-Star Season 17. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Well, I love that discussion. I love meeting her for the very first time, actually, and just learning a little bit more about the journey that she had, and along the way celebrating exactly who she is and quietly being the champion that she is. For everyone out there who have not watched this season of All-Star on Bravo Top Chef, please do, because it really shows how you can win gracefully and talentedly and embrace your own, who you are culturally, and take all of it into a masterpiece of art and share with everyone else. And that's exactly what Melissa did along the way. So I encourage you guys to join her journey and watch this season. I binge watched it, loved it twice. And next time I see her, I want that. last 4-course meal she made on the final episode. It's epic. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today.